What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. I'm a little bit disheveled right now. I got to get my jacket on. I got to take my hat off, or maybe at this point, oh gosh, the hair is rough today, Zach. But happy Tuesday, a new edition of the Ryan Ripken Show. There's a lot to talk about here. We already had a scripted amount of content that we wanted to discuss, and we still have that, but we also have to get to what's the most recent news, the headliner of this whole thing, because it ties into the NFL offseason. Ravens, how about their rival, the Steelers? Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is stepping down. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more here upcoming. We do have two guests slated to join us today at 4 p.m. Former Baltimore Raven Gino Gradkowski is going to join us to talk about his relationship with not only John Harbaugh, but giving us some insight on some of the other coaching candidates that the Ravens have been interviewing, which apparently, Zach, it's been 8 now. Is it 8?
8 or 9.
9, 8, 9, 30, 50. I don't even know what's happening right now, but there's that. And then at 4:30, we have Jerry Carrabis joining us to talk about really baseball. The Red Sox have missed out. Who's the next big name? There's a lot of reports that are floating out there. And then we will react today to the press conference. Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta talked to the media. Some things we might have known, some things you didn't know, or some things you had a pretty good idea about, and now you just know a little bit more information. That's all I got about that. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate it a lot. And we are on Apple and Spotify and wherever you get your podcast. Follow us along there and follow us along at Ryan Ripken Show on Instagram, Facebook, X, Tomato. Hi, Zach. How are you today?
How's it going? A little chaotic, at least towards the end. That's for sure. We actually just got a statement from Mike Tomlin. Yeah, did not see that coming. Didn't think we'd be sitting here talking about.
You okay there?
Yeah, for the vertical people. I did not. I honestly didn't think. And it was Mike Tomlin's decision, and we'll get into that. But I didn't really see that coming. I really didn't. I didn't think that he would be the one to step away. I thought he was just kind of like, hey, I'm doing this. This is my thing. I think he goes into TV now. Been seeing a lot of rumors about that, so definitely looks like maybe television. But I don't know what reporter brought up. Maybe just a swap, Harbaugh for Tomlin. Let's get frisky. Keep the rivalry alive.
Has that ever happened in a professional sport where they're just like, yep, we change, and you know what? You're going to coach that team. We're going to take that coach. Then we're.
Do you think the Bengals feel left out? They're the only team in the AFC North not looking for a head coach. Do you think they're like, damn,
maybe we should have gotten in on this?
Yeah, like everyone's.
They're the only ones that are saying we're going to run this back.
You just put it in put all the AFC North head coaches in a hat, and each team pulls a name.
I mean, honestly,
that's who coaches you.
I'd be intrigued. I'd be fascinated. That would be interesting. If it's like, you know what, it's head coach roulette. Just pick one out.
Do that in every division each year. That'd be fun.
Talk about that would spice things up. If you're talking about you're trying to create an infrastructure, imagine what's been like back in the day. What if, Joe Judge ended up becoming the Eagles head coach in that division?
That would be.
They would have really hated him then. No doubt about it. Well, we're not here to talk about the Eagles. We're here to talk about all the news that's breaking right now. So, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And as we're getting going, shout out Merrick Clubs behind us. They've been a proud partner with us. We are a proud partner of theirs, and it's going to be one hell of a 2026. And Zach has zero idea what his first activity is going to be with Merritt, and we're going to keep it that way.
Just having fun.
We're all about having fun here. All right, so Zach, let's talk about this Mike Tomlin news. This happened right before we got live. So tweets are out. The message is out. Adam Schefter put it out there. Breaking after 19 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin just informed his team that he is stepping down as the head coach, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. And the Steelers are looking for only their fourth head coach since 1969. Their fourth head coach since Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, I think, Zach. If you believe that he did or didn't at that time.
I was going to say that opens up a whole nother can of worms. We want to get into all that. But, man, this is It makes sense that Tomlin went out on his own terms. I feel like that's a very Mike Tomlin thing to do. I mean, he's a guy who has kind of been the head honcho, obviously, in Pittsburgh for the last 19 years, but he just kind of has that mentality of, I don't think Pittsburgh was ever moving on from him. I think it would have taken a lot for Pittsburgh to actually get rid of him, meaning being like, hey, this isn't our best option. He takes matters into his own hand. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall. Like, maybe he thought, one of those, like, you can't fire me if I quit thing. Maybe that was an option. But overall, new era in Pittsburgh. It's very weird to think about Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh both out in their respective teams. It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
It's like a damn. That was my initial reaction, was damn. And now for the second time where we've heard, at least after the Ravens game, there was still rumblings as the day went on. Like Monday, there was nothing. But then a lot of people were saying, we're not seeing Baltimore making a ton of moves. And whammy, Steve Bisciotti's like, no, I'm making a move. Oh. Now with Pittsburgh, they said, Mike Tomlin's going to keep his job. And then there was the rumors about TV and all of this. And then in this case, less than 24 hours after the Steelers had been eliminated, and it was a close game at halftime. And then, the wheels fell off, and it's the Steelers' seventh consecutive loss in the postseason since 2016. Haven't won a postseason game since 2016. They've had five straight double-digit losses in the postseason? Zach, it's some ludicrous number that's up there. But point being, it's not good. And in this case, Mike Tomlin then makes the choice that he's stepping down. Now, we are hearing a lot of reports that Mike Tomlin can go and get a job in TV wherever he wants, and no doubt he will. Why? He's a walking soundbite. I love hearing his pressers. I love it. And I think he's going to be really good. But you know what? One of the other kickers here, Zach, is this from Jordan Schultz on Twitter, X. Mike Tomlin was not fired. He wants to reiterate this. So he voluntarily is leaving the organization, so the Steelers will retain his rights. So if Mike Tomlin were to be in demand and he would want to coach, even if he takes the year off and goes to television, the translation, as Jordan says, is that Pittsburgh could then trade him like Sean Payton was traded from the Saints to the Broncos. It's fascinating. I don't see Tomlin coaching next year unless it's the shoes on the right foot, but damn, man.
The biggest thing for me, I don't think Tomlin coaches next year. I think he goes into TV. Honestly, for the Ravens, my biggest thing is, I know some people are talking about like, they're going to get a pick. They're going to, they're going to get a trade. Okay, they might get a trade in like 2 years and get something for Tomlin. If I'm Baltimore's, there's now, and I think it was Jordan Schultz even put something out a little bit after this. Is the Steelers' job on the same level as the Ravens' job now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't think so from a roster, wise, but when you look at it, if you become just the fourth head coach since 1969, you come into that kind of organization. I understand if a head coach or a young aspiring head coach that is getting these interviews, I understand if he does go out there and, one of these top guys like a Minter, like a Kubiak, maybe a Flores, that Flores mentality of we're just going to blitz everybody every play, that kind of screams Pittsburgh.
I feel like Brian Flores would be a head coach of the Steelers.
Yeah, like he just gives me that vibe of like, hey, he's going to walk in and be like, only reason we're not sending more than 11 is because you don't allow more than 11 on the field. Like it gives me that Steelers defense. Like,
we'll blitz our own quarterback. Yeah, like that type of feel.
And I feel like almost like that's why I'm kind of thinking like a Minter could go there. I think they're going to go defense.
But the one thing that I'm looking at this, and I'm glad you brought up that question when you're saying, are they on same parallels? From organizational standpoints, I would say yes.
Well, that's the only reason,
on
not
organization.
Roster.
But the thing is, when you look at with Tomlin leaving, I think they probably had a discussion internally being like, hey, this is the direction. What are you thinking? We need to make a tough decision. Do you want to stay through that? And maybe this is just the right time. right? So what I mean by that is Aaron Rodgers is 42. Aaron Rodgers might have played his last game last night. There's a good chance he has. What are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to do with trying to acquire a franchise quarterback? That's something that they haven't had. You have DK Metcalf under contract next year. You have some offensive pieces that could be appealing. They have a plethora of tight ends. Arthur Smith loves the tight ends. And they have a solid infrastructure defensively. Now, they got to get back to a little bit of their identity, but I would say their identity for defense was stronger than Baltimore's. Mm-hmm. And if you watched the game last night, it was the defense of Houston that was the issue for Pittsburgh, not that their defense couldn't stop the Texans. They did a fine enough job to be in the game. But I think that's the part. It's the reset, Zach, because like what the hell is going to happen here in Pittsburgh next? And I know a lot of Steeler fans and Joey Molinaro. Hey, shout out Joey.
He's got to be happy.
Oh, he's very happy about it now. But isn't that the crazy thing is that in a span of a week, the two longest tenured coaches that are a part of one of the most historic rivalries in the NFL, or one of the most special rivalries, because historic Ravens have only been around for 30 years. But two of the one of the most special rivalries in the NFL, they're out. So I'm really curious to see. You know, one thing actually, because we'll get to maybe this will be a good transition into the Bisciotti conversation. Can you pull up the clip of Bisciotti reacting live to the interview of Tomlin getting fired or resigning?
Yeah.
You know, and I know Brad's saying the Ravens could do the funniest thing. Well, Steve was kind of shutting that part down, and Zach, give me a thumbs up or like a caw or something when you're ready with the clip. You got a caw if you have the clip ready.
I don't have the clip ready.
Okay, well, if you're new to the channel, by the way, as we get this clip ready, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're on YouTube, a reminder, there's the vertical stream and the horizontal stream. You pick which is best for you. Some watch it on your phone. Some watch it from your tablets or computer. There's two options there. You pick your favorite. And we appreciate you guys joining us here today. We will get into a lot of baseball conversations moving forward. At 4:30, Jared Carrabis, we're going to talk about MLB. There's some other rumors swirling, but one thing that's not swirling is the Red Sox haven't signed anybody. But for right now, you didn't caw.
Well,
Zach.
You were in the middle of talking. So
that's fine.
It was
okay.
Caw.
What was that?
Caw.
Okay. All right. So Mike Tomlin was resigning while the press conference with owner Steve Bisciotti of the Baltimore Ravens and general manager Eric DeCosta were having their little chat to the media. So I guess it got brought up to Steve Bisciotti about, well, wait a minute. Is Mike Tomlin an option? Well, let's play that clip of Steve's reaction.
He did? Is it official?
That's what I keep hearing. So is he a candidate here?
Holy shit, Mike. Wouldn't that be awesome? Only if John takes the Pittsburgh job. Wow. Wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know. That thing last week maybe disqualified him from my opening after our kicker missed a kick to let them advance. Good for Mike. Yeah, I don't know. Talk to him. I love Mike. I mean, I've admired Mike for 18 years, and that's really shocking that he did it that way. But yeah, that's kind of crazy.
So what we're hearing, Zach, unless John Harbaugh goes there, then he kind of joked, well, I'm going to leave it up to EDC and Ozzie. No. Steve's going to have a choice in that. And then number 3, it pissed him off with the chest pump and the kiss at the end. And you know what? In rivalries, good. It should piss you off. That was heartbreaking, But in all seriousness, Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. If you're a team that is really interested, yeah, you want to see what the price would be or what his interest is. But Zach, for what we just talked about, it ain't going to be the option in Baltimore. And I don't know historically if we really have seen that. Have we? If anyone in the chat, let us know if we've seen that. I just can't recall a coach going from a rival directly from a rival to another rival, so we'll see.
Yeah, he will not be the coach in Baltimore. I feel very confident in that, and I'm glad Steve, jokingly, but still kind of put that to rest pretty quickly. I will say I'm very scared of the Steelers head coaching search because the more I see it, it looks like everyone in the media is saying Brian Flores there, which I think would be very scary in the division. But no, Mike Tomlin will not be. I don't see Tomlin going to Baltimore. I don't see John going to Pittsburgh. Although, funny enough, John to Pittsburgh would be really funny. I think maybe this is the start of a new chapter in Ravens Steelers. Maybe we see two young head coaches, another, rivalry birth there. But I would be very shocked if Mike Tomlin even interview. I don't think Mike Tomlin's coaching next year to start.
I don't think so either.
I just don't think we see Tomlin. I think Tomlin goes into TV for a year, and then after that, maybe he comes back. Honestly, if you look at the job cycles outside of Baltimore and Pittsburgh, there's no big opening that you're like, oh, like Tomlin could wait 2 years for his ideal opening. Like that's the thing, is he could wait for someone to either open up. And here's the thing. If Tomlin, waits this out next year, he could call a team and be like, hey, if you guys are looking for a new head coach, I'm in. And teams would get rid of their guy if they're struggling. I mean, in a heartbeat. So would not be surprised if after this season, Tomlin kind of forces his way into some place, because why wouldn't they want him?
I mean, again, going back to all this for Mike, I think it was the perfect storm of how it ended in Pittsburgh on Monday night in Houston, which I haven't heard from Rocco, by the way. I saw some tweets. He hasn't texted me personally after the Steelers loss. So hopefully, Rock, you're okay. But for Mike Tomlin, Zach, I think for the Steelers, I really think they said, hey, we got to have a hard look at this. And we need to make a reset. And making this reset means that they have to change things philosophically themselves. Because the frustration that's been in Baltimore for Ravens fans has been the roster not getting you to a place that you were looking to achieve for the third time in team history. That's to win a Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl. But for the Steelers, they've been looked at as a team that has been maybe undermanned roster construction wise, which I don't even like saying that because these are grown ass men. They're battling their ass off. But when you're looking at them compared to Baltimore from an offensive standpoint and a total team standpoint, it's different. Now, Pittsburgh has beaten Baltimore the majority of the times over the last 13 matchups. But the biggest difference to me is, are the Steelers contenders? So like during this time, the Ravens have been given that, yep, they could go win a Super Bowl. And they could be a top team. Pittsburgh, it's been, well, if they get in, they're in, but no one thinks they're going to make noise. And the record has showed that since 2016 for Pittsburgh. So I think it's a combination of a reset, Zach. I think that Tomlin understood that. The ball's in his court, and there's such a mutual respect that him stepping away, it could benefit Pittsburgh in the long run if someone wants to trade for Mike Tomlin. So, fascinating to see. But how about that? Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. I know a lot of people thought that it could or should happen over the last couple of years, but did you think it was going to happen within the same week structure?
To the day. I will say this, we kind of got more clarity that this was kind of inevitable. Like we all joked about loser of, who if Tyler Loop's kick goes in, Tomlin's fired. If it misses, Harbaugh's fired. I think both were leaving no matter what, because we now got a little bit more clarity. Steve Bisciotti was asked in his press conference, hey, Steve, if Tyler Loop makes that field goal, he said, is John Harbaugh still the coach of this team? And Steve Bisciotti, in the most mob boss way possible, goes, for another week. I just don't. I think the decision was made. I think they knew, unless the Ravens pulled off a run and went to the Super Bowl. I just think that the writing was on the wall. And maybe if Pittsburgh would have squeaked out last night and Tomlin gets another win and, he ends this streak, maybe we would have seen something differently there. But it kind of is getting that feeling of, we all thought going into week 18, it was, hey, winner stays, loser goes, not just talking the teams in the playoffs. We're talking coaches. I think that was just one last hurrah. That was one last good one for the road. And I know it did not end in the way that Ravens fans wanted it to end. But after 18 years, 40 matchups, I tweeted this out. It was only right that John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin went out the same year, and their final battle came down to an instant classic. Week 18, winner goes to the playoffs in Pittsburgh. It's a cold, windy night. And after all the battles they've had, after everything they've been through together, all of the highs and lows, the win streaks, the losing streaks, the criticism, the praise, it came down to one kick to end it all. And yes, Luke missed it. And I mean, now if you're a Steelers fan, you're probably wishing he would have made it because you would have gotten a way better draft pick. But
way better.
Yeah, that's how it should have ended. That's how it should have ended. It sucks that Luke didn't make it, but it coming down to that situation, to that scenario for both of them as their final face-off for their final regular season game each as the head coach of their respective franchises. That's how it should have ended. So I'm glad it did.
So I think we should play a couple clips from the Harbaugh or the Bisciotti presser, if that's okay. I have one about Lamar specifically, and I honestly wish I had the Todd Monken part brought up of, I saw one thing saying on Bisciotti on Lamar being the quarterback, and I want to have the thing of Todd Monken when he's talking about plays of everyone wants the ball. Well, yeah, no shit. I want Lamar Jackson to be our quarterback. Yeah, no shit. He's a fantastic player. But I want, Zach, your homework real quickly. And again, we're on the cacaw system right now. Do we understand that? Are you putting something up do you have a cacaw?
Are you talking about the tweet from Jeff?
The tweet from Jeff could be one thing. I was trying to see if we had the video of Bisciotti talking about with players coming to the house. Do we have that?
I can.
Or even how it all went down with Harbaugh when the firing with the phone. If you could find either one of those right there, Zach. And again, the Ryan Ripken Show policy for today is what, Zach? A little bit more enthusiastic. Do you have it?
We are working on it. We are in the process of almost
doing
it done. It is on. We're in the process of considering starting the process of having this all come together. Actually.
So we got a lot of things that we can kind of go through. What is the process that you're starting with?
We're going with Lamar and Eric DaCosta.
Okay, let's talk about Lamar and Eric DaCosta. Play the clip.
Steve, you did mention that you invited Lamar to come up for the interviews if he wants to the final round of interviews and everything. When it's all said and done, how much of a say will Lamar have in the head coach selection?
A lot of say, but he has no power. I have the power. They have opinions, and I want them all. I care about my players very much, but I can't give them power.
That's a cold man. That is a stone cold. Steve Bisciotti, he's a mob boss. I don't know if we can prove it or if this was like a past life type of thing, but somewhere in him is a little mob boss because that there's two things that I want to get to really fast. That this is the time. This is the new thing. Your franchise quarterback does have a say. He doesn't have power, and I like that, Steve. I actually love Steve's answer to that because it's so true. It's like so many people will be like, "Oh, well, Lamar, or not even just Lamar in any league. You see it in the NBA a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When a player is or a coach is fired and they're like, oh, well, the star player's going to pick whoever he wants as the coach. He may have an opinion, but it's not best to make sure that they pick or have the power to make that decision. So I think it's awesome that Steve is taking into account. He said, all players I care about, everyone has an opinion, and I want all of them. I want every opinion while we're making this decision. But the second thing is, this is just the new way that things happen. I asked Tony Dungy about this last week of, hey, coach, how much say should Lamar have in this? And Coach Dungy, Super Bowl champion. This is a guy who was around the league for a long time, very respected member of this league, Hall of Famer. He said he shouldn't at all. But 15 years ago, he's right. The players, that wasn't a thing. But we've gotten to a point in the league and just in sports in general where if you have a franchise quarterback, he needs to have some sort of a say. Not power to make the hiring, but let's say Bisciotti and them are deciding between two guys and they talk to Lamar and Lamar's like, hey, I just don't mesh. I don't think I'd mesh well with that guy. I don't think this would go well. Or, hey, I love this guy. I love what he's doing. I'm super excited. Would love to work with him, all that. You're going to take that and be like, okay, our star quarterback, our MVP player, okay, if he prefers this guy, let's take that into account because we don't want to make him upset off the rip. So I think it's also a sign of how the league has changed over the years because 15 years ago, a player wasn't picking the coach.
Hell no.
But it's kind of changed in the way that we perceive star players and kind of the say they have in these big situations.
So one thing that we have continued to have this conversation about is you need to be aligned with your big powers in the organization. And now a big power in the organization is your stars, and specifically your franchise quarterback. There are other clips, Zach, if you can find it as well. Kaka on the Bisciotti was talking about how Lamar just isn't a confrontational person and essentially like debunked that he didn't have anything against Harbaugh or anything against Monken. Doesn't know where that's all come from. But Steve ended up saying, well, just give me some of your thoughts on how things are. Because you know what? What you're hearing is a guy that really, for all the reasons they slander Lamar, for all the reasons that I still don't think is fair. If you want to talk about not winning and the team's not winning the postseason, okay, that's fine. But to make it something else that there's this agenda, no. But one thing I do want to point out here, when we're talking about alignment and continuity, if you are looking to make the fourth head coach of the Baltimore Ravens and you're making that decision and Lamar Jackson's in your 3 to 5 year plan, which he is, and hopefully he's here for 7 or longer, Zach, but like realistically, you don't know, but 3 to 5 years, that's fair to say. I think that everyone would agree. Yeah. Your next head coach better get along with the guy that you believe is going to win another MVP, maybe 2, and is going to give you the best chance to go to the Super Bowl. You better be on the same page as him. And it doesn't, and Lamar to me doesn't have that ego that he's going to be a problem with that. But of course, you want to make sure it aligns. Now, above all those, Zach, where does it start? Bisciotti and DaCosta and the head coach, they got to have to be on the same page. But it does help hearing from some of your star guys what matters. Because can I say a little analogy or at least another example for baseball? Let me give you a little bit of enlightening conversations on the baseball side in Baltimore. When they fired Brandon Hyde, what did the Orioles do? They brought in some veteran guys and asked, hey, what went wrong in your mind? And that's why when people were getting so mad with the Orioles and Michael Eyes, I give so much props that there's some things that I will eventually maybe say or not. But I give props to, he said, we have to identify what our issue is because clearly we didn't meet our standards. So let me talk to the guys that are going to be here. Tell me, give me your feedback because a coach's feedback and a player's feedback, they're going to have some differences. And the job of the owner and the GM is to say, all right, where do we piece this together so it's a full unit again, and we're back to doing what we're supposed to do, win games. So that does matter. They don't have the ultimate decision, Zach, but they should have an input, especially if they're considered to be big parts of the team. So I'm really interested to see what the Ravens decide to do. They had, their 8th interview today, and it was Brian Flores that we saw was the interview candidate, which I'm with you, dude. I think Flores to Pittsburgh would make a hell of a lot of sense if you want to stay defensive and keep that culture. But it depends on what they're looking for moving forward. Did you find any of those clips? Do we have a caw or no?
I have Lamar. I'm just going through. I have Steve talking about Lamar. He wants Lamar to be his quarterback. Trying to just take the quotes without listening to the video out loud now.
Well, while we're waiting on that, let me go back to the Harbaugh firing real quickly, because Jeff Zrebick tweeted this out, and I thought there's 2 tweets back to back. You know that song, Drake, back to back? Well, Jeff had 2 back to back tweets that I think are important to look at. If I could find them, it'd be great if I could find them. Here I am. I don't have my call ready. I just had it done. I might be losing space on my computer. That's a whole other different situation here. But the tweets were about Bisciotti's instincts to make a move and why he decided to do this and why he wanted to move forward. We all have heard the reasoning, but also we've had a lot of people out there questioning a little bit of some of the reporting, right? You saw at the national level, there was so much conflict in it. And that's why I was glad Jeff came on with us, Jeff Zrebick, yesterday at The Athletic, to kind of talk about some of this stuff, right? And discuss what was going on. And for some reason, I'm just out of storage. That's exactly why. That's amazing.
How much storage? Do you have any storage on there?
I have so much.
Okay, did you bookmark the tweet? Bookmark the tweet.
They're bookmarked, Zach. They're both bookmarked.
Okay.
They're the top. That's Jeff about Bisciotti. I think we had run our course, and Bisciotti about the instincts.
Yes. Okay. So I'll
you can screenshot them both.
Yeah, we're doing.
Damn it.
Two birds, one stone, otherwise known as 2 tweets, 1 screenshot.
That'd be pretty cool. And so again, if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. By the way, Ryan Ripken Show. We're live Monday through Friday, 3 to 5, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And also, if you want to listen later, that's groovy. That's cool. We're also on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. But what helps us, you hit that like button, you hit that follow button, you hit that subscribe button. Means the world, because we're trying to put the good word out. And we also believe we have some great guests that you will want to hear from on a day-to-day basis. What's the sound? You didn't give me the sound, Zach. Okay, the tweets. Pull up the tweets. All right, so here it is. Jeff tweeted out about Bisciotti on the decision to fire John Harbaugh. He said, 100%, my instincts told me that this was the time. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I did it because I'm in charge of doing it. We love John like a brother. It was really the most difficult decision that we made, but we made it. And then Bisciotti continues to say, I think we had run our course, said he had to take his love and respect for Harbaugh out of it. I made the decision by myself, and they understood. I didn't need them to come to my side of the fence. It was a wonderful, wonderful marriage. And this is the big part of this. Taking the emotion out, because this is also an emotional moment. He's been the head coach for 18 years. This is a brotherhood. This is a friendship. Like, this shit's hard. This is the part when you talk about change. Yes, the business transaction is, we got rid of our head coach, we're moving on. That is a really hard thing to do. And I think a lot of Ravens fans out there, or anybody out there that can talk about when you deeply care about somebody, it's really hard to give someone bad news, isn't it, Zach?
Yeah.
It's extremely hard, especially in this case. You ever been in a relationship where you're like, I need to end this, and you know what? I'm afraid to do it. You're afraid of what the reaction could be, but you know it's right. It's the hardest thing to do. Sometimes you drag your feet. Maybe you want to quit that job, but you're afraid. Or maybe you have to fire someone that you care about too, and you're going, and this is across all aspects of life. And what I applaud with Steve was is that he said, I had to take the emotion out of it. I had to. And he did. And for anyone can say if it was too long or not, Steve said the time was right now. The Ravens made the move, and they're into a new era in Baltimore. And I think with this presser, and we can play the Lamar being Steve's quarterback next, or the Ravens quarterback, but people want accountability and at least just honest. I know Steve. He is honest right now. Steve is cutting right to it. Definitely doesn't give a shit what people are going to say. But I think he was very truthful, Zach, so far in this process. And it's a hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do here. And they're moving on. But the next clip, do you have that clip about Lamar in there? Oh, there it is. Oh, wow. So Steve Bisciotti was asked about Lamar Jackson as his quarterback. Well, here's the answer if you have any doubts moving forward.
Him to be my quarterback. I told him his extension was, we had some mechanism to keep him in place last year that we don't, or 3 years ago, that we don't necessarily have now. So I need to make sure that there's only one way. If he doesn't want to do an extension, then we throw those $74 million out into void years, and Lamar's coming back at the same cap number he was last year. You can play with that money all you want. That's not what we want. We want another window, and Lamar knows that. And I think that he's amenable to doing something that mirrors the last deal he did, although the annual number will be a little higher. But I'm hoping that it's plug a new number in the same contract he signed last year and move on. And the urgency of that matters to me because we've got free agents, and I don't want to go into free agency with that hanging over our head. And I made that clear to Lamar, and I think he was very appreciative of my stance and hopefully willing to work with Eric and not get this thing dragged out into April like it was the last time.
All right. So he's saying that we want to get this done before April, please, before free agency. Whether that gets done, time will tell. But, Zach, Lamar ain't going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere. He's not.
No.
Baltimore Raven. And you know what? Lamar Jackson, if everything goes right, he should retire a Baltimore Raven. And hopefully he's going to retire a Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens. But overall, all that was very objective, by the way. And to your theory on this, I think Maryland might have been infected by the mob. You got Bisciotti, the ownership, where you're like, he could be. You got Craig Albanese over there as the manager of the Orioles going, you know what? Definitely off the accent alone, I got to be careful. But go ahead.
I mean, it is. It was the perfect response because as he's saying, hey, Lamar's the quarterback. Okay. He signs an extension. Awesome. Let's ride. He doesn't. We turn things into void years, and he comes back at the same number, and we go from there. The one thing I took away from that is Lamar's coming back. There's all these things. Oh, what would Lamar look like in Minnesota? Oh, imagine Lamar in Miami. Oh, imagine Lamar down in Atlanta. Well, you can imagine that. It's not going to happen. Steve just made it very clear, at least not this offseason. Lamar Jackson's staying in Baltimore, whether it's on a new contract or if they have to move some things around with void years. And the biggest takeaway is that is an owner who understands, hey, this is my MVP. This is the guy that as long as 8 is on the field, every time we lace him up, I think we have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
That goes away if Lamar's gone. And I think they understand that. I think they understand the urgency of that. So going forward, it's all about the number one thing is about getting that deal done. If you get that deal done before you go into free agency, you just skyrocket your cap number. All of a sudden, you have enough to, hey, let's get Linderbaum back because that's the number one priority after Lamar. Let's go add to this offensive and defensive line. That way you have a good structure so that you don't have to, when you sit there in the draft, reach for guys for positions. Mm-hmm. You know, you get 14. The Ravens don't pick down here much. In fact, the last time they did, they got Kyle Hamilton, a pretty damn good player, if I don't say so myself. So you have an opportunity that you're picking in the top half of the draft. There's a lot of talent. The last thing I want is because of cap situations that they're strapped and, okay, we couldn't help the O-line as much as we wanted to. Oh, we couldn't help the D-line as much as we want to. And a star player, well, that's we're talking the wide receiver or a defensive back like a Caleb, someone, and I know people would be so upset for some reason if Caleb Downs, the best one of top 2-3 defenders in football, college, fall to us, but that's a whole nother topic. The last thing I want them to do is, if there's the best player available, that guy that you think, hey, he's not at the biggest position need, like like a lineman, but we're good there, so we can take the best player available. You don't want to have to pass those guys up because you're like, well, we have to take a left guard no matter what. We have to. Even if the guy that we didn't want isn't there, we got to take him because we were strapped for cash. We need to upgrade the O-line, the D-line. If you take care of business and have a good structure before the draft, then that's when the Ravens are most dangerous, because that best player available mantra that they have, that they kind of live by, of, hey, we're just going to take the best ball players and we'll see what happens, then that really can come out. And that's how you end up with a guy like Kyle Hamilton, because he fell. They didn't need a safety. They did not need a safety. They still had Chuck Clark. They still had everyone. It was a solid group. And they sat there and they were like, yeah, but Kyle Hamilton's sitting here at 14, and that should not be happening.
Take the best.
Then you take that, and I would say it's worked pretty well for them so far. So I think it is a massive offseason that starts with finding a new head coach and then moves on to figuring out the Lamar Jackson contract, because if you get that extension figured out, Ravens are in a very good spot heading into free agency.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And above all, for the Ravens, you want to identify what things you want to work on. And to identify that, you want to have your core pieces in place and then go out to getting back to that hard-nosed physical football, which I guarantee you that is going to be an emphasis as they move forward. If you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live on YouTube, X, Facebook. And we are also on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Hit that like, follow, subscribe button. And also, if you want more of the short form clips, we put them out on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, all at Ryan Ripken Show. Hey, how you doing? And if you're just joining us now, Mike Tomlin stepped down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta had a little conversation with the media, which to me wasn't anything that was surprising, but it's just nice to hear conversations, or let it hear right from the horse's mouth. If you have questions or doubts or thoughts, concerns, we're going to have a former Raven and actually one that spent time with John Harbaugh, and he spent time with some potential suitors as the next head coach of the Ravens. Gino Gradkowski, Super Bowl winning.
Yeah.
Lineman Gino Gradkowski. Got the ring. Ring me, Yeah. And as also, Aaron Donald will say. Go ahead. Just
real fast. Well, not housekeeping, but I do support this. I said this yesterday. I think they trade up potentially for Ruben Bain. But if David Bailey falls, talk about a draft crush. David Bailey. Oh my gosh.
Take it easy right there. Easy.
I've watched a lot of. I've bet on a lot of Texas Tech football this year, and David Bailey is just a monster off the edge.
Is he really getting you going?
Yeah. He's been. I've penciled him into the mock drafts.
Write that down.
Penciled him in. Him or everyone says Peter Woods. We'll get into draft stuff later, guys. We'll get into draft stuff later. Don't get me started.
Maybe that could be a thing that you just go down a draft list for channel members. I want to have like a draft. Like,
I think I'm going to start doing mock draft simulators with the people. I might get Kevin involved in that just because I want to see his reactions to stuff. But I think that could be. Might have some guests on. Yeah, maybe we do a mock draft Monday. And this is what they said about Kyle Hamilton. They always say that. I think
The
players
Notre Dame boys can't play.
I genuinely think that this draft is going to be another one where I think the top 3 are going to be quarterbacks still, even though I don't think the quarterback class is that great. I think it's going to go Mendoza, Moore, and then Ty Simpson. Hot take.
Yeah.
Everyone sit down. Everyone sit down for this one. I understand. We are about to have a classic. If Miami somehow pulls it off and wins it all, we are going to have a classic. Some team, for some reason, falls in love with Carson Beck and takes him in the first, late end of the first. Someone trades up and gets him.
Okay.
It feels like one of those stories of like Carson Beck wins the national championship, and everyone's like, oh. Ooh, let's see what happens. But yeah, maybe we get some mock drafts going. Mock draft Monday. Might have to bring that back as we get closer and closer to the draft season.
Yeah, we got a lot to still get in there before the drafts, but people love a good mock draft, no doubt about it. People love playoff football. People also love baseball season. That's right around the corner. At the next hour at 4:30, we're going to have Jared Carrabis talking to us about baseball. Apparently why all of Boston and the Red Sox fans are pissed off. But there was a trade today. Nolan Arenado went from the Cardinals to the D-backs. And you would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago that would have been the huge blockbuster. But Nolan, I still think he can play. But it was more of a different situation for the Cardinals and for the D-backs, as the D-backs were trying to figure out how they're going to compete in the National League. We'll get to that a little bit later on. And at 4 p.m. here in about 10 minutes, former Baltimore Raven NFL player Gino Gradkowski is going to join us. And I think Gino's just a good guy to talk to. Why? Been around the league, and he's had a lot of experience with some of the other coaching candidates that could be head coaches during this hiring process. So that should be great. But Zach, we're also thinking about each day. Is that when Brad and I were talking about planning out the show for the week to week, we're going to have each day we'll probably have our headliners. So today our headliners would have been Tomlin, press conference, and maybe one other, the Arenado trade. Those could be the headliners, right? Then we have our guests and all of that. We're also going to have like one of our segments each day that maybe is for the day. Monday it could be the overreactions. You just need to get out what's been on your mind from the weekend. Tuesday, what kind of ticks you off, kind of grinds your gears, and I'll explain mine because it is Tuesday. I might grind my gears here. Wednesday, we'll have a little fun. Thursday is our movie reviews, which, Zach, we haven't decided the movie review this week.
No, we haven't.
And then Friday, we have a little fun where I'm going to bring back Let Me Put My Poems in You. And we are figuring out the proper day for the call-ins. I don't know if we do call-ins on Friday or it's a Wednesday thing. You know what I mean, Zach? Do you have any thoughts?
We'll figure it out.
I knew you'd say that. You know what grinds my gears when you give me those types of damn answers?
We're figuring it out behind the scenes. We'll figure it out. Our people will let your people know when we figure it out.
So I got something for my grind my gears today, and we're going to have like the graphic pop up, so you guys can let me know what just grinds your gears overall. What gets mine, and as an adult, it actually like just ticks me off. And if you listen to me on the Parkway, that's one thing.
That's the whole other thing.
That's a daily thing. But when your trash doesn't get picked up, and then you go down to get your trash cans from outside and you got to put them back and it's still full. And then you know what? It's not stopping Jamie from ordering boxes too because the recycling didn't get taken either. And I'm going, hey, honey, there is nothing I can do about this. Well, put it in the trash. Where the hell am I putting this?
Yeah.
Am I just throwing it over?
You got to start having piles of trash bags at other places.
And then it's all in the house sometimes. The recycling builds up too. Goes, our place looks cluttered. Well, I'm sorry. They didn't pick it up.
Yeah. I had that issue a lot in college, not because it wasn't picked up because we didn't take it out.
So, okay, that's a weight. That's a
very,
problem.
very similar situation we had. I agree with Kieran here saying new bag on top of the bin, but you can only do that once. You can't, you can only do okay, let me open the lid and like kind of put it on and like the lid like half closes. There's only room for one. Like after that, like you have that like, hey, we're giving you some bonus space and like it's cool, but you can't go after that.
No.
That's, they're very quickly fills up.
No doubt. And especially too, it's with recycling as well, which I get it. If you're a master packer and you like to play Tetris and you break down the boxes, good for you. And that's what you're supposed to do. But sometimes you're like, I'm just going to throw that thing in. And maybe it's like partially broken down. But if you don't do it enough and you lose things, it's a problem. Did I just go disappear on the screen for a second?
I went to take myself out of the thing in the that was in the bottom right here, and for some reason I hit the transition one. I don't know why it's now not.
Oh no, we're going.
Yep, and then you.
Are we coming back, Zach?
I don't know. There it is. Woo!
Okay.
Electric in the air.
Oh, electric. We woke up the pup. You woke the beast. He's been taking a nap. But yeah, that's what grinds my gears today, Zach. So every Tuesday, that's going to be my grind my gears day. But we are looking, I saw, when is Kyle coming back for the Iron Rooster? He's coming back. Don't worry. We have to figure that part out. It's early in January. We got the Super Bowl next month. Then we're going to get our full plan together of feeling out exactly how we're going to do this. But we're excited. We're running Monday through Friday. It's going to be a great time. Zach, I also, because you know why we're also changing the time, it's so I can go and continue to stretch my wings and fly. So I'm doing a little bit more with the fan this year. And actually starting next Tuesday, Zach, I'm doing a hot stove from 6 to 7 on the fan. Talking ball. Should I just make up things?
You should. If
Did
it's
you
a hot,
just 6-7 me right there?
if you're gonna say it out loud, I'm not gonna lie, it is an issue. It's become an issue. I started like one of those things where like you hear it so much and like you start off, you're like, oh, now it just happens. And I'm concerned.
No, okay, so it just happens to you. I don't.
That is what I'm saying. I think I'm in too deep. I took the bit too far.
It's
tough. Bad.
That is tough.
Yeah, I'm not either, but it just happens. And like I have an out of body experience every time. It's not going well. We're gonna have to figure it out. That's on me.
I mean, it is. It's totally on you. Oh man. Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, we're live. Tuesday. Zach's stuck in a really tough position, personally, emotionally, physically, mentally. But then also for fan bases, people are feeling ways mentally, emotionally. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that Mike Tomlin stepped down today. Again, it's the same thing with Harbaugh. It's not the shock that it happened. Mm-hmm. It's the shock that like it's over now. Like you've heard about it and here it is. And you're like, damn, it's kind of sad.
I'll disagree. I'm going to say it is the shock that happened because no matter how much I told myself, John Harbaugh needs to be moved on from in Baltimore and the Steelers need to move on from Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Both times that I saw it, I was like, they're doing it? Like we're actually doing it? Like kind of like you said, it's like that like sadness of I'm like, oh, it's over. Like this is it. So like I just, no matter how prepared I was for it, and I thought it was the best move for both parties, I was still shocked. Just because I think I was more shocked about Harbaugh. Tomlin stepping down is a very Tomlin thing to do. I just feel like that's him being like, hey, I'm going out on my own terms. Them flat out being like, John Harbaugh's fired. It was not a parting of ways, anything like that. And the more that came out with that, I think that was more shocking because, heck, Ryan, we talked to Jeff Zaribek. The feeling on Tuesday was, hey, Harbaugh's coming back. And like we were even having conversations. We had Dan Orlovsky on talking about, hey, and he was like, yeah, I think going forward, with Harbaugh, all that stuff. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, Harbaugh's gone. Like it felt like they were leaning towards that direction of, hey, we're keeping Harbaugh in Baltimore. And then suddenly out of nowhere, we're literally reacting to Dan Orlovsky talking about John Harbaugh, and boom, phone buzzes. Ravens are firing John Harbaugh or relieving John Harbaugh of his duties. Unbelievable. It was just, it's still shocking. I mean, no matter how prepared I was and how much I thought it was the right move, still got me. It's like when you know a scary movie, like a jump's coming, like because like it goes dead silent, and you're like, okay, something's about to pop out,
it's happening.
and it still gets you, and you're like, oh, okay, like it still got me.
Do you like scary movies? Side note.
Yeah, I've grown into a very big scary movie person.
I'm trying to think. Have you watched the old just scary movie, The Spoofs?
No.
Oh. What's your favorite scary movie? Those things, so they don't make old comedy, make fun of horror movie comedies like they used to. Back then, it was out of control. Out of control. And they were amazing. You haven't seen any of them? The Wayans brothers? You haven't seen any of them?
No, I don't think I've seen any of those.
Oh, my goodness.
I've seen a lot. I've my scary movie repertoire catalog over the past year has gotten really big. I've seen pretty much anything that comes out, I've seen.
Oh, that really narrows it down.
Well, no, I'm saying like over the past year, I've seen pretty much everything that comes out. Wait, what was that big one that just everyone was obsessed with the kids and the running and all that?
Oh, they just took off running.
Yeah,
Why
am I
was happening?
Yeah,
I
why
haven't
am I
seen that. Did you see that?
It was interesting. Like it was one of those where it was just like the concept was cool. It wasn't really a horror movie. It was more just the concept.
So it was a suspense.
Yeah, it was more
Thriller.
like that. Yeah,
Are thrillers
I will say
horror
though,
movies?
ending horrible. Ending was horrible because it like kind of turned into like a comedy ending, which I did not see coming. Like they just had a very comedic ending.
So you don't like
Weapons? Yes, Laura. Thank you. I don't know why I was blanking on that.
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't seen that. Maybe I should see that. We'll have to go back. I still think you need to get in your head about 90s comedies, 2000s comedies. Make spoofs. They don't make it like they used to. And you were just born, so you're not very cultured. So we're working on this. You're only 25, but you're a good kid, and we appreciate you guys. Ryan Ripken Show. We're live Monday through Friday here. We're from the Baltimore area. If you guys are new to it, obviously we cover a lot during baseball season. That's a backbone, but we do cover a lot with football. We have a lot of great connections there. And right now that is the talking point because for the first time in 18 years, the Ravens have a new head coach that's going to be in the works. And then Pittsburgh, for the first time in 19 seasons, they are also going to have a new coach. So not only are two organizations going through change, the rivalry itself is going to see some unfamiliar faces at the helm of it, which can be exciting, but also can leave fans feeling different about where things are going. So if you're new to it, hit that like and subscribe button. And Gino, if you're ready, just give me the thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll. Boom. All right, so we like to give you guys insight and bring people on that can give you a little bit more context. Keep it real. And if you're new to what I do, being around a baseball family and growing up in it, I like to try to talk to people more about why you should watch this so you can see more of the behind the scenes and get more of an idea that it's not just always business. You want to hear from people that have been in it. So in this case, former Baltimore Raven, NFL player, he spent time as a Super Bowl champion here, right, Zach, back in 2012 and 13. Let's bring on Gino Gradkowski. Gino.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you joining us. First off, by the way, because your years in Baltimore were what, 2012 to 2014? Do I have that time frame kind of right?
Yep, that's right.
Does it feel like it's – I don't want to say that out loud because I realize that I'm 32 now. Does it feel like that was 13 years ago, 11 years ago for you?
It does not. No, it's very strange. The time has flown by. I got 3 little ones now, so that makes the time go even faster. But yeah, it's strange. You know, after you guys reached out yesterday and I was thinking about it, man, it's been over 10 years since I've been around and have, worked with Coach Harbaugh. But yeah, very strange how fast time goes.
Well, before we get into that, just kind of your insights and relationship and what you experienced, because then also you have some connections of being around the NFL to some other names. There's a lot of head coaching opportunities. If you haven't noticed, one just opened up in Pittsburgh about an hour ago, which is insane to think. But for your time, if it's going back to the 3 years in Baltimore, whether it was around the time of the Super Bowl or after, is there a story maybe that sticks with you from the time that was very memorable as a player, or even one that you have that kind of sticks with you all these years later?
There's so many from just my, 3 years is not a long time, but felt like it was jam packed with so many very memorable moments, just from making the connections to all the great players that I had the privilege of playing with in Baltimore, and the great coaches that I got to play for. But also the big moments, winning the Super Bowl, obviously, and things like that. But I think one story that always sticks out to me that I'm always going to remember, and it relates to talking about Coach Harbaugh, is after we got a pretty significant loss handed to us in Houston that year that we won the Super Bowl. It was leading into our bye week, and that game in Houston was not good, man. We were sloppy, and they just handled us on all three phases. And we were getting ready to start our bye week prep and our practice, and we were getting ready to go out there in full pads. And there was a very emotional discussion in the team room, amongst the team and Coach Harbaugh. And I just thought the poise that Coach Harbaugh showed in that moment, was impressive because of the veterans that we had in that room. There's some guys that are, instant Hall of Famers, legends in the NFL that have established their names in the NFL. And, I think one of the things that Harbaugh did well during my time there was taking feedback and input from those guys and adjusting, what he believed was right, and being able to kind of adjust and meet the players where they felt was right, and finding that happy medium. And I felt like we had a great bye week, and that was even though it was an emotional and a heated conversation at times, I think it was very productive. And I think that's what happens, man. And it from playing baseball. Like if you're in a highly competitive environment at the highest level, there's always going to be misunderstandings. There's always going to be heated moments and emotional moments, but it's about the teams that can take those things and turn them for good and help propel you forward for the rest of the year. That can really, those are the teams that show up, late in the playoffs and make a good run, and have that camaraderie that allows them to go and far into the playoffs and make a championship run.
Yeah, I think people sometimes have a perception that people got to like each other all the time, or that it's a feel good all the time. But really, shit's tough. And I remember that game in Houston, by the way. You guys got your asses kicked. I remember watching that and going like, woof, man. I think Suggs might have came back that week or something like that.
That was his first game back.
Welcome back, lost by 1 million. And, but I think that's a good point, because during that time, the reports that were coming out was, wow, there's so much disconnect in Baltimore. There's frustration. Well, there's a lot of frustration. You just got smacked. That doesn't feel good. But the other part is, yeah, this is what NFL season actually, in professional sports, this is what actually happens. It's only rare that there's a fairy tale where it's just from the jump, you go off and you win, and it's like, wow, this was perfect throughout the case. I don't know many teams that have done that. Gino, I don't know if you do either, but that moment that you're talking about, that documented moment was Harbaugh is losing the team. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because you were in there of recognizing emotions are high because you want to win. But that's a reason. What you're describing to me, Gino, is fair to say why John has been able to be a head coach for so long, is things that people might not give him credit for. One thing he deserves credit on is being able to adapt, listen to his guys, and realize that he can handle criticism, which ultimately you guys ended up winning that year, and it was a fantastic story.
And I think there was another stretch in that season too. In December, I think we may have lost 3 straight.
Yep.
But I use that season as an example all the time when I'm talking to younger athletes, because it's a perfect example. And I think it's more common than not, like we were just talking about. Like everybody has this misunderstanding or this false expectation that if you want to win a championship, it has to be a steady incline throughout the entire season of progress. But it's just not that way in sport. Especially in the sports where you're playing, over 100 games like baseball or 80 games like hockey, things like that. But even in football, where it feels like every game is the most important, and if you lose it, your chances are going down significantly. But even in football, it is a roller coaster ride, and you got to just be able to ride that and to be able to use those low moments to propel you up. And yeah, I think that Harbaugh did a great job of that. And you see the year in and year out progress that Baltimore has made. There's years that we missed out on the playoffs, and then it seemed like they recognized and attacked the problems that they found, and ended up coming back the next year and doing better. So I know that's what happened the year before I got there, leading into our Super Bowl year, my first year. It's what happened my second year when I was starting, leading into my third year when I was back to a backup. That they address problems and they fix them, and then the season ended up going better. And I think that's, like you said, why Harbaugh was able to have success for as long as he did.
Yeah, and there's so many other factors that go into it, right? Injuries play a part. You got to battle through. And I know there was a stretch where the Ravens missed the playoffs for 3 straight years, and then it's Lamar's coming in, and wait a minute, could John be on the way out? And then it's a new evolution of Raven football, and they had a great run with Lamar and John being partnered together. Just didn't get to the Super Bowl, and hence it's kind of the reason why things are changing is that they want to start fresh, and it'll be interesting to see. And also, so you got to see all those moments, and also, Gino, you got to see one of the rarest and purest just moments of aura in Joe Flacco in the playoffs, which is just, I joke with Joe. I had him on earlier in the year, and I'm like, dude, Joe, like, you're like here all the time. And like, I swear, like, I feel like you could just throw a football over the mountains and you're just going to go out there and sling that thing. And it felt like that's what I watched all of your guys' Super Bowl years. So I just wanted to say that, expect the run. I'm like, dude, Joe he's on a heater.
It's so cool to see him still out there too, man. And like when he has those good games, because you're right, man. He's just he's a gunslinger, and he can fire it. I'll never forget, another very memorable story.
Yeah.
From practice, Joe was getting pissed because the D line kept batting balls down. And I think it was against the scout team, so that's even worse. That's like a unwritten rule. You don't bat balls down at the line of scrimmage in practice if you're on scout team. But he got a ball batted back to him, and he picked it up off the ground and turned and chucked it to the sideline and knocked a Gatorade cooler off of like another water jug. It was the most impressive throw. It had to have been from 35 yards out, and nailed that thing right off the water cooler. But yeah, very impressive arm, very, very impressive accuracy, and just love seeing him still out there doing it. Hopefully he gets another chance to go somewhere else and ride this thing out as long as possible.
He's got an absolute hose. I'd love to see him on the bump pitching to see what that velo would be. But he sounded like he wants to keep going and he wants to play as long as he can. And I for one, love it. And I can't wait to see what that next chapter is going to continue to be for Joe Flacco. I'm also really interested in what the next chapter is going to be for the Baltimore Ravens. And Zach, we've been having this discussion. And Gino, you gotta at least maybe help me out here. There's a few names that you spent time with that could be potential head coach candidates right now. Was Clint Kubiak one of them that you were around, or Vance Joseph? Which, I'll be honest, how many coaches have you heard that's in the cycle that you know or that you were around?
Mike McDaniel, he just interviewed, correct?
That's right.
I was with him in Atlanta. And yeah, Clint Kubiak and Vance Joseph, I was with them for a short time in Denver. I'm not sure who else they've hired, but yeah, it is interesting. And it's a good perspective that I've been able to gather just from my time in the NFL, going, from different organizations. And, you don't realize how good you have it. You think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not all the time. But, I was fortunate to start my career in Baltimore. And after traveling to different organizations realized, and I've heard it from guys that came into Baltimore when I was there from different organizations, of how good we had it in Baltimore. And that's a testament to what, Coach Harbaugh has been able to build over 18 years with Mr. Bisciotti, the culture that he implements, and his demeanor, his personality, one of the coolest down to earth owners that I've been around. So it's a huge hire. This is a very big deal for Baltimore right now. I think that, those two candidates that you mentioned, I think Vance Joseph, his maturity, his football intelligence, his genuine personality, and the way that he can connect with players, I think he would be a great candidate for Baltimore. I just recently uh, heard something that he was talking about being smart bullies. Like, that's the type of mentality that he wants to have on his defense. And you think about what made Baltimore's defense so great when Ed Reed was there, when Ray Lewis was there, is that's the type of mentality that they embraced. Was, they had that dark side, that bad boy type of aura to them. But when it came to the X's and O's and understanding what offenses were trying to do, I mean, there was probably nobody better than Ed Reed in understanding that, and his attention to detail in the meeting room and how he studied film. So, I think that Vance Joseph could bring that type of mentality and culture back to the Ravens defense, which would be great. Not to say it left that, but to help amplify that with his experience, I think would be great. And you look at offensively what Baltimore has right now. When they first signed Derrick Henry, I was blown away. I feel like it should be illegal to have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry together in the backfield. That's a dangerous combination. I think it's the best backfield in the National Football League when you look at the talent of both of those guys. So
It's insane.
yeah, so it's very intriguing to think about a creative offensive mind that could come in and utilize those guys to the best of their ability, which could be a very dangerous thing for the rest of the league. So, Clint, I have a ton of respect for the Kubiak family. I played for Gary. He was our offensive coordinator when I was in Baltimore. I played for him in Denver as well. So I have a ton of respect for Gary Kubiak, and I know that Clint grew up around football and has a great background in football. But you look at the last couple of years and the places that he's been, has he been really with a dynamic quarterback like Lamar? I'm not sure. So I know he was with Johnny Manziel as a young assistant back at Texas A&M, but that's a long time ago. So, I trust the leadership of the organization. I think that they're going to make the right decision. And I think Baltimore fans could feel comfortable about that aspect of it. Because as much as, Harbaugh did a great job of creating that success and making Baltimore what it is, that's extended well beyond the coaching staff. That was something that was from the very top down, organizationally, is just across the board, high level. So I have no doubt that they're going to find the right person to take this position.
Yeah, they have a good track record of that. I mean, Zach was saying that it's the two organizations that have been very stable over the years. It's been Pittsburgh, it's been Baltimore, and now they're both looking for new coaches. And it's really interesting. Kubiak has the lines of the family coaching tree. Mike McDaniel, people get caught up on at times of, well, should he the head coach, but he's a genius offensively. I've heard nothing but great things from players on all these guys. That's why, but everyone always wants to tear down what's wrong with these guys. Why didn't things work out? And that's where things typically stem from. Some cases, right, Gino, it's maybe some guys aren't cut out to be a head coach, or it didn't work out. And the other case is circumstances, team didn't play well. Not in the greatest infrastructure. Bisciotti even talked about it today of the hot candidate goes someplace, but the team had a lot more internal issues as an organization that maybe hindered the ability to get better. And that's what you said about grass isn't always greener, I'm assuming, right? In that
Mhm.
case.
And that's exactly the point I'm making too about just the way that the organization runs things in Baltimore. Sorry, I got a motion detector light over here. But yeah, the way they run things, like Bisciotti was saying, is sometimes it's not the head coach that's the problem. And with Baltimore, um, it wasn't just the head coach that was the reason for the success, if that makes sense. So I think
Yep.
that gives that person that comes in here a leg up. And it's interesting because I grew up in Pittsburgh. So, growing up around the rivalry, growing up in a city where, consistency was a staple in the head coaching position. I'm obviously biased growing up in Pittsburgh and playing for Baltimore. I think it is the greatest rivalry in all of sports. So it is interesting to see how that changes, how that stays the same, and kind of who those new pieces are going to be that come in. It'd be great to see two new head coaches that come in that have been a part of a type of rivalry like that. Whether it's an NFC North rivalry, an NFC East rivalry. There's not many rivalries in the NFL that you can compare to Ravens and Steelers. I think it'd be Packers and Lions, or Eagles and Cowboys, like that, those type of rivalries there.
Packers and Bears are trying to come back. Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur, there's a little buzz there. Those are some fun games. But the Ravens and Steelers, it's also been the type of games that the Ravens and Steelers have played over the years that go with it, hard-nosed or down to the wire. Well, then before I let you go, Gino, because you have this very unique side of growing up in Pittsburgh and playing for the Ravens, do you have any stories with the rivalry that maybe stick out to you, or maybe on a personal landscape? Because you're sitting there going, well, damn, Pittsburgh guy, but a Baltimore Raven. Is there anything that jumps out to you as this chapter comes to a close in the rivalry?
I don't know, man. There were so many fun moments. My brother played for Pittsburgh as well. He was a backup quarterback, so we got to play against them in the playoffs my third year. Obviously, playing against them in the regular season, those games felt like playoff games. But to actually play in a Baltimore-Pittsburgh playoff game, it was awesome. I mean, very special.
That was at Pittsburgh, right?
It was at Pittsburgh. Yeah, that was the year. That was my third year, 2014, I believe. Yeah, so I'd say that playoff game, especially anytime I played in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field, was awesome. I refuse to call it whatever it's called now.
Yeah,
it'll always be Heinz Field.
What's the regular?
Sure or something.
That's it. It's Heinz. Yeah, it still feels like Heinz.
But no, I mean, you think about it, like going up against Troy Polamalu and Lamar Woodley and James Harrison and those guys, like just an incredible rivalry, and was well prepped for it after going against all those guys I went against in practice every single day, for sure.
Oh gosh, that was a wild time. Such iconic players. I remember Jamal Lewis was talking about, before former Raven was saying the amount of smack talk that James Ferrier and Joey Porter would give him, that it actually got in his head a little bit. But there's so much respect, but there were some ballers in this rivalry. And that's what made it so special. That same year that you guys went to Pittsburgh and won, I know, then you went to New England after, and it was the whole, he's eligible, not eligible, right? That was the situation.
Yeah.
He was ineligible. That was a load of crap. I'll say it for you. It was a load of crap there. Hey, before to get you out of here, and I appreciate your time, Gino, just if anyone's trying to keep tabs on what you're doing and what you're up to, well, what are you doing and where can people keep tabs on you?
Yeah, so I'm in South Jersey now. And my wife won that battle. She grew up around here. I'm the offensive coordinator at Rowan University, a Division III school, about 35 minutes from Philly, about an hour and a half from Baltimore. So, still in the region, but loving what I'm doing. I went back to University of Delaware when I first got done playing.
Yeah,
I was doing some student athlete development stuff there. Quickly realized I needed to get back into football. So, found this opportunity here, not too far from where we were living, and I love it, man. It's a lot of fun. Enjoying being around the game, enjoying trying to teach this next generation of athletes, and kind of just see where it goes from here.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I would hate to not ask you this before you go. This is actually a heated debate. Patrick Queen started this. There's a debate on, depends on what your preference is here, and you're maybe afraid of what I'm about to say. Food scene, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. It's been a highly debated.
So I'm a Raven. I'm a Ravens guy now. Okay. And I always will be a Ravens guy. Okay. That absolutely washed all the Steeler fandom I had in me. But when it comes to food, I always got to go with my hometown in Pittsburgh. I'm not a seafood guy, so I think that makes me biased. I know, Johnny's crab cakes, the best in the world. And if you're a seafood guy, it is Baltimore. But for me, I always got to go with my hometown because you know why? Because my mom and my grandma still live in Pittsburgh, so I got to go with the Pittsburgh food.
Okay, you were firing me up, then you broke my heart, and you're like, okay, in the family. Hey, you know what? I get it. You know what? That's an admirable answer, but that did break my heart. PQ all of a sudden was all this, like he was like, oh, Baltimore food's great, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, Pittsburgh's way better. I'm like, what is that? That's the only reasoning because you're mad. I get it. Yours was a fantastic answer, but Gino, I love that you're back involved in the game, helping the next generation. If you're ever back in Baltimore, always welcome around. We'd love to get a chance to meet you in person. What's the best for you, and we'll stay in touch. All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Gino Gradkowski, everybody. Former Baltimore Raven. From Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh. So everyone calm down, okay?
That was just mean. There was no reason for that. That lead up, I was over here embarrassing myself. I was throwing
hands up.
I was throwing air fist pumps. I was doing boom, 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 boom. I was celebrating. I was like a dub for Baltimore. And then he just
ripped it out. He ripped it out. He ripped it out of ripped our hearts out there. But you know what? He says a Baltimore Raven through and through, and we appreciate him. And before we continue on with this stream, Zach, we should hit that other stream. Bam! Look at that. AutoStream Car Care Center. Guys, we're partnered with AutoStream this year in 2026. They got 10 locations in Maryland, and they have an offer right meow. $50 off when you mention the Ryan Ripken Show or just Ryan Ripken. You can't combine the other offers that they have, but if you need something done for your car, head on over to AutoStream Car Care Center, and you get $50 off with any service courtesy of AutoStream and courtesy of the Ryan Ripken Show. So we appreciate you guys. Now, back to the stream. And, Zach, we have a wild Kevin Ostreicher behind the scenes that prompted the question. Was Kevin having the same reaction that we were having? Kev?
Man, that was cold. That was he had us in the first half. He really did. And
that was the lead up. It was like, yep, I'm a Baltimore guy.
Well, because there was no shot. I had no idea he was going to go that way. I thought he was all right. Well, I'm a Raven. All right, yeah, let's go. And then yes, great job asking the question. I'm glad we were able to sneak that one in at the end. And from what I caught, I was doing my live over on Locked On Ravens for the Bisciotti DaCosta press conference. But from what I caught from Gino, really cool guy. Really cool guy.
Super cool guy. He went in depth, Kev, on what I loved with that, Zach, was he was talking about that mutiny. He was talking about that tough time. And he said there was multiple times throughout that year that he said John's poised through it when you're dealing with Hall of Famers in Ray and Ed and other people in that group. That's a hard thing to do as a young head coach. That's his fifth year as a head coach, right? 2008 to 2012 then would have been 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And you have these decade-long veterans plus in there that have been the staple of Baltimore Ravens football for the entire time. They made a big coaching change. They got their asses whooped in Houston. That was an awful game. Oh, my God, I remember that. But I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really great to see. And, yeah, Kev, we got Jared join us in a little bit, but quick thoughts on Bisciotti just laying it out there. Like, he was pretty open.
Yeah. I did a short for Locked On Ravens, just like as a react, kind of like the ones that you do. And I said, where were you when Steve Bisciotti changed the course of the Baltimore Ravens? That's how impressed I was with what he had to say, just because of how open and honest he was. And I didn't really know what to. It was almost like the Munkett interview that was a week ago. Was like, all right, well, what are we going to get from Todd Monken? Like, how's it going to be? And I know it's different in a press conference setting versus an interview, but even still, I was wondering, all right, how many of these details are we going to get? How open is Steve Bisciotti going to be? It's been a while since he's been in a setting like that. And, you know, I saw people calling him the mob boss in the comments, and, you know, and he was savage and blunt and straightforward, but I think that's what everybody needed. Like, that they just needed accountability. And it was the best press conference I've ever seen. Like, if I'm being honest, and I'm not
great.
Yeah, it was awesome. He was awesome.
Amazing. Like, and I think that's the point. If you're saying that, the reason why is the authentic nature. I also loved Kev and Zach. We talked about this. I just love the fact that he was saying, hey, dude, Lamar was telling me, I don't have a problem with Todd. I don't have a problem with John. And Steve said, okay, well, still just let me know what you thought of the year. But he goes, I asked other people that. And Steve was saying, I made the choice. It was my instincts. And I love that we're just debunking this. We had Todd Monken, obviously, last week, Kev, and Todd saying, I don't know where the hell this is all coming from. And then Steve just coming out there and saying, these decisions came from me. It wasn't about that Todd Monken, John Harbaugh. It was, you know what, we have to change things up. I'm making the call. And
I also thought it was cool that, you know, he dove into a little bit of what he and Lamar had to say to each other, and Lamar saying, all the stuff's about Todd Monken, I don't know where this is coming from, and all this stuff about, I had John Harbaugh, I don't know where that's coming from. But I will say this very quickly: when anyone pulls out the "our dear friend" line in a press conference, you know they're not messing around. You know they mean business. And I got a couple comments on my live about how it felt like Eric DeCosta might have been shaking in his boots on a couple of those answers, because he was, and I thought Eric was great too. But, you know, when the owner of your team comes out and essentially takes accountability, is very honest and open like that, I think it was refreshing for everybody.
It was. And you know what? He was also very comical, because in the same time, in real time, Mike Tomlin, the news came out, he's stepping down. So now the Ravens and Steelers are looking for new head coaches. Should be great here. It's a new chapter in Baltimore for the Ravens. And right now, it's a new chapter in Baltimore for the Orioles here. So as we switch gears real quick, we got to go to the baseball side. And I'm glad to get our next guest to join us, because you know what? No fan base seems to be more pissed off right now than Boston. And so, sorry for that, Jared. But when you're ready, give me the thumbs up. We'll bring you on. Oh, he's ready to rock and roll. Well, he does work with Underdog, Baseball is Dead podcast, Section 10 podcast, kind of the voice of the people out there for the Boston Red Sox faithful, and currently the part of the pissed off Red Sox fan base. And apparently you don't hold people accountable, but let's bring on Jared Carrabis. Jared.
Brian, it's good to see you again, man. It's good to see you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back under these circumstances. You know, like I feel like I earned this because, like, my buddy Clem, who's still at Barstool, he's a huge Mets guy. I only bring him on the show when something bad happens to the Mets. So I feel like this is fair. This is absolutely fair.
Yeah. You know, I was laughing my ass off, not at that you guys are dealing with the Bregman signed with the Cubs for $10 million more, and that they're trying to work out what the no trade clause and all of that. But also that people were saying, well, Jared, you're just fanboying. You're not holding people accountable. And I think you found an exact quote or tweet holding ownership accountable. So let's just start from the top here. What is going on in Boston right now? Out of the entire AL East, I think the most questions are surrounding what the Red Sox are going to do next, and actually maybe the New York Yankees.
Yeah, it's the $1 million question right now. What are the Red Sox going to do next? And I'd love to be able to sit here and say, oh, well, I know what their plans are. They're planning on doing this. They don't know what they're going to do next because they thought they were going to sign Alex Bregman. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was so annoying. Obviously, I was upset that Bregman went to the Cubs. I think I was probably the most upset when the reports came out that the Red Sox were like, we actually preferred Bo Bichette. Like, we didn't even want Bregman. It's like, yeah, you did. You did want Alex Bregman. The issue here is that, and I tweeted about this morning. They think that there's still a draw to just playing for the Red Sox. There's not. They haven't yet realized that you're going to have to be the top bidder to get or keep, in this case, a player. Like, there's no more, Kurt Schilling being like, you know what, I want to be a part of this. Keith Falk being like, all right, I'll take less money because I want to be a part of that. A part of what? What is there to be a part of right now? A part of vying for third place in the American League East and potentially winning 90 games and missing the playoffs? Like, that's what you think Alex Bregman or players of the same ilk are going to take less money to be a part of? It's not 2004 anymore. It's 2026. You're going to have to pay up if you want the player.
Yes, you are going to have to pay up. Now, I will say, you guys did pony up last year, the Red Sox, traded for Crochet. Then you signed him. That was great. I think the part that stings the nostrils here is Ron Burgundy would say, trading Devers, keeping Bregman, losing Bregman. That's, I think, the other part that's sitting here with fans of, look, we're not going to say that Rafi was a defensive specialist because that was not the case. But as far as being a top 10 bat throughout baseball, dude could swing it. So you thought, all right, you're moving on from him. You need to have a stable force. So I got to ask you then, Jared, if they're done with Bregman, it's gone, it's over. There's still a giant hole in this lineup. And I still believe Boston, and I still think New York, their pitching staff to me is still the one. Starting rotation, Cole's healthy. They're going to be good. They need to figure out Bellinger, what's going to happen there. But is the Red Sox next move really going for Bichette, or do you think that that's not going to happen given the other reports that, Bo's got some other high suitors with some organizations that seem really in on him?
So I think the Red Sox have offers out to Bo Bichette. I have no reason to believe that he's going to look at those and say, yeah, these are better than what New York is putting on the table, what Philly's putting on the table. I have no reason to believe that. And maybe there's going to come a day in the coming weeks here where, they shut me up and they're like, actually, we were so embarrassed by the Bregman situation that we just kind of put the best offer on the table and said, take it or leave it. And he ended up taking it because Philly signed Schwarber. And New York, I think that they're really focused on bringing back Cody Bellinger. I think that that's a priority for them. So it's like, yeah, like Bo Bichette at the start of the offseason clearly was not the Red Sox top priority, but he is now. I think if you're the Yankees, you're kind of focused on Cody Bellinger. So can you be as aggressive on the Bo Bichette front at the same time? Maybe. I think that there's going to be a lot of luck involved if the Red Sox end up with Bo Bichette in free agency. And if and when he signs elsewhere, like a Philly, because I think that they're, focused on him at this point. I don't know what you do because now you're seeing the reports of, the Red Sox are going to get creative. They might pivot to run prevention. They might look at the pitching market. You do know that, you can only have 5 starters in a rotation. Like who are you bumping out of that rotation? Like, you already traded for Oviedo. You love Connolly early. You wouldn't give him up in a Marte trade. You've got Bayo. You've got Crochet. And you traded for Sonny Gray. There's your rotation. You're gonna go out there and sign Framber Valdez? For what? You're gonna go with a 6-man rotation? So it makes no sense to me what the new plan is. If the new plan is to look at the rotation, you kind of already set your rotation. And if it's not to be aggressive on the Bo Bichette front, well, Mike Hazen said we're not trading Ketel Marte. What are you going to do? You're going to trade for Alec Boehm? Is that the grand plan now? You're going to trade for Alec Boehm? And I've actually heard that being floated a little bit. I was talking to Harold Reynolds the other day on MLB Network. He threw that idea out there. I was like, man, if that's the pivot, I don't know that I can be at opening day. People are going to be really mad, and I don't think I want to be a part of that.
It's really interesting how you guys are pissed off with how things are run. And then if you go to Baltimore last year or over the years, people have been very mad, and still people are dissatisfied that the Orioles haven't signed another starter, which, Jared, I hate to tell you, I think that they will.
I think that's coming. Yeah.
I think it's happening, and it needs to happen. Like, from a rotation standpoint, Baltimore needs it. Like, if we're looking at this AL East conversation, the Yankees need Bellinger. I mean, I don't see them getting Tucker, right? Belly looks like their guy. It makes the most sense. Comfortability. Get that marriage to work. Get that contract the years down. Whammy, that's it. Mark Shapiro and the Blue Jays and the whole staff up there, they're saying, screw it, we're going to spend money. And they might make one move. I'm not surprised if they do or don't. But then Boston's really the one team that you're looking at where I can't say for certain that you guys are going to get somebody else. I feel that way in Baltimore. I feel that way in New York. Tampa's Tampa, right? Like, Seti Mullen's going to go down there. Seti's a good friend. Like, I could see Seti playing well and then getting moved at the deadline, 1-year deal. They have a certain structure. Yeah, I'm really trying to see what this is going to play out. I still think Boston's, I mean, you guys are still competitive right now. The Yankees are still the favorites to win the AL East, which I don't know if I'm going to put my money on that.
No.
But the AL East to this point, Jared, they're not done the rest of this offseason. I mean, hell, spring training's in a month.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good names out there. If the ones that we haven't mentioned, what are names that you're eyeing then? You mentioned Bohm as being thrown out there. Is it the other Suarez, the third baseman? Is that one that you would think, or is there anyone that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it wouldn't shock me at all if that's where the Red Sox go with this, especially with a lockout looming in 2027. If the Red Sox were like, hey, because they talked such a big game at the beginning of the offseason about a number 2 in a middle of the order bat and this and that. And it's like, okay, so we were thinking, all right, so Joe Ryan, because you guys were aggressive for Joe Ryan at the trade deadline. So, all right, let's pick back up where we left off there. Middle of the order bat. Obviously, we want a right-hander. Tristan Costas can start the year at Worcester. So that sounds like Pete Alonso. That'd be great. And then you'll bring back Alex Bregman. So we went from Joe Ryan, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman to 1 year of Sonny Gray, 1 year of Wilson Contreras, and now potentially 1 year of Eugenio Suarez as your Alex Bregman replacement at third base. What a dud offseason that would be. And that's not to say that the Red Sox wouldn't be a good team in 2026. I still think, let's say hypothetically Suarez is your third baseman for 2026. The Red Sox could win 90-something games, like 90 on the dot, high 80s, low 90s, somewhere in there, and win the wild card or get a wild card spot. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So by default, it's like, yeah, have you constructed potential playoff team? Sure, you have. But for what you set the bar at, you fell very short of what the expectations were after the World Series.
Certainly have. And I think the part still, in the National League, we know who the favorites are going to be to start the year. It's going to be the Dodgers. Phillies, I still think, are going to make noise. But in the American League, I know that there's a betting favorite, but you could throw out to me, pick your favorite team in the American League, and I would believe you. I'd say, okay, make a good point. However their offseason went, that's who could be the favorite, because I just think that that's how wide open it is. I think the American League East will be a gauntlet, but there's nothing surprising me that Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, New York could win the division. No knock to Tampa. I do think there's a little bit of reservation there, but everyone else, you make the case. Zach, do you got a question for Jared real quick?
Yeah, real fast, Jared. Obviously, we just talked about disappointing offseason when you talk about expectations going in, but you also mentioned, at this moment with the young core, you guys, it's still Boston. If you tell me, yeah, they win 90 games, I'd be like, yeah, look at that team. Is there, or at least your expectations for guys like Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, for them to take that next step? And do you think, okay, if we're not going to sign a big name guy, is this season almost more focused on, hey, let's make sure they're taking that step and unfortunately going more development wise than you are, hey, this is a year we're going all in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question because I think last year was that, and I think it can be similarly this year as well. You look at last year, Marcelo Meyer made his debut, Roman Anthony made his debut, but they kind of got lucky in that they took steps forward. Like Roman, he got called up a little bit late, but then at the end of the year he got hurt with the oblique. So if you extrapolate his season out, it's a 7-win season. That's a superstar player, and you have to figure at 21 going into his now age 22 season. Yeah, that's a situation where could he be better? He should be better. Yeah, I think so. So yes, I'm looking more so at a guy like Marcelo Meyer who needs to hit lefties if you're going to be an everyday player, because second base is still open, third base is open. They need somebody, obviously, to fill one of those positions from an everyday basis, but Meyer's going to get his opportunities. He's going to be able to play in the infield, but he didn't really get the opportunity to hit lefties at any level, and he hasn't really proven that he can stay healthy for north of 100 games. So that's going to be a big test for him specifically. And then the name that never really gets mentioned anymore is Christian Campbell. You know, he made the opening day roster as a second baseman last year, had a really great April, had an awful May, and then we never saw him again. And the defense was atrocious. They they're labeling him now as an outfielder. Well, guess what? You already have a log jam out there. So how is he going to get his reps out there? So that's, in terms of the top prospect guys, Roman Anthony, can't wait. Marcelo Meyer, we'll see. Christian Campbell, what do you do? Like, where do you create a spot for that guy? So yeah, we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and real fast, I like that you brought up, because I was just going to ask you. It felt like at the beginning of the offseason, you just talked about kind of the outfield log jam in Boston. It almost felt certain that, hey, someone's getting traded here in this outfield, whether it's, Abreu for a bigger guy, maybe it's Duran. It just felt like every rumor, it was, well, the Red Sox have to trade an outfielder, so let's plug them into this mock trade. Do you still think that happens, or do you think that they are probably set at outfield and they might just go forward with, hey, we have more talent than we have spots, but that's not the worst position to be in?
I think that they were probably a little surprised that they weren't able to pull off a Jarren Duran trade, but they set such a high bar. Like if you're Craig Breslow, and you're kind of dangling Jarren Duran out there saying it's Cole Reagans or no deal, they were, his standout all-star MVP year in 2024, that's how they were shopping him around to other teams. Like, this is a 9-win player. And it's like, well, is he? I mean, he's still a pretty damn good player. Like, he could be a 5-6 win player, but they're shopping him as like, this is a 9-win player. And teams are like, I don't know about that. So it's not really surprising to me that he's still here. Whether or not they'll still move him, like, now that Bregman's not coming back, and again, I have zero confidence that they'll sign Bo Bichette. Do you really want to make your lineup even weaker when that Bregman's not coming back and Bo Bichette's not walking through that door? I figured they'll probably try to do what they did at the end of last season once they did have Roman Anthony, and shuffle guys through. And some days you'll have Duran DH and he'll sit against lefties because he can't hit him, but neither can Willie Abreu. So it's like, you've got 3 dudes that you're depending on as everyday players who can't hit lefties. Not a great spot to be in. That's what's really frustrating, is the Red Sox had all winter to address these problems, and we are less than a month away from pitchers and catchers, and all the problems that we went into the offseason with are there, plus you've now added problems. You've added problems, because we haven't even mentioned the name Masataka Yoshida. Like, that's a guy that Craig Breslow is like, well, we need to open up the DH spot so that, if we want to rotate guys through there. And Yoshida's just like, he can't play any defensive position. He doesn't have any pop. He doesn't strike out a lot. He gets on base, but he's not the prototypical DH type. They haven't addressed that either. So yeah, a lot of problems here.
You're not the only team that has problems here, Jared. So don't worry about that. And a lot of things, you want to see what the narratives are going to be from what they have been. So you mentioned all the names, only so many spots on the field. Where are they all going to fit in? In Baltimore, them signing Pete Alonso is kind of changing a philosophy, which is Pete plays every day. He needs to be in your lineup. The Orioles like to rotate position guys. They also traded for Taylor Ward, a guy that plays 150 plus games. You're not platooning that guy. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about the dynamics with the Sox, because in Baltimore, they have some decisions to make. They have some decisions on who are we committing to be the everydays. And there's the ones that are out there in Baltimore, the Gunners, the Jordan Westberg. How are you going to handle, though, your catching situation with Adley Rutschman, Sam Basayo, with Pete Alonso? By the way, you have 2 other first basemen on your roster with Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle, and a crowded outfield room as it is. But one thing that I wanted to just touch on, or to emphasize, you mentioned Duran's an all-star player, talented player. Faced him in the minors, I think it was in Double-A, before he kind of really took off. He's got the talent, but the part of where teams are, you got to make a choice on what you think the value is, and is the value too high? And if it's not being reached, do you sell low? Because Baltimore has that circumstance right now where their prospects were probably at an all-time high, and now the value's dropped a little bit, and they're not getting what they were hoping for. I know for a fact if they wanted Crochet last year, their prospects could have gotten them Crochet. Boston did. So right now, I don't know who the prospects of the Orioles that they could trade to make it worth what they were getting back. And I think Boston's in that similar situation. So to finish this out, there are 5 big names out there. Framber, Ranger, let's go Cody, Cody, Tucker, and Bichette. Curious in your mind, how many of those 5 you think end up at the AL East?
I think Baltimore gets Ranger. Yeah, I think Framber goes to the Mets.
Yep.
I think Tucker. I saw the report today about the short-term money, $50 million a year for the Mets, but I don't know. Wouldn't you want the years? Like, I feel like Toronto would go big for both. Like, maybe it's not $50 million a year, but I feel like they would give years and dollars. So I still feel like in my gut that Tucker is a J. Bo feels like a Philly to me, and I think the Yankees and Bellinger figure it out. Like, I think there's probably other, because of his versatility. Like, he can play the outfield, he can play first base, and there's teams with money that need to address those positions. I feel like if he wanted to go elsewhere, he would have by now. And if you're Cody, isn't it interesting how his Dodger years, he had the MVP, but then I believe he got either DFA'd or non-tendered at the end there, and has this renaissance with the Cubs, but all the under the hood numbers weren't so good. But then he goes to the Yankees, and it's like, well, you'd be smart to stay here because this ballpark is perfect for you. So I think the Yankees know we need Bellinger, and I think Bellinger knows I kind of need the Yankees. So if they're going to wait it out, they'll figure it out. So how many is that in the AL East? That's 3. Ranger, Tucker, Bellinger.
Yeah. And I'm with you. To start with the pitching side, I know Baltimore fans have been on watch. Jared, there was an eye emoji that I had out, which everyone always thinks if I tweet something, it's going to be about the Baltimore Orioles, which probably when you tweet some things out, people are always curious. I will say I would be shocked if the Orioles don't walk away with one of Framber or Ranger. I still think it's Ranger over Framber. I think the Mets are going to be aggressive with Framber, and that's it. But I would agree with you on that. And people also forget with the players you're bringing up, I wouldn't want to mess with a thing I know that works. So if you're worried about figuring out a few $1 million for Belly and vice versa, it works. It's no guarantee it's going to work elsewhere. And Mark Shapiro up there, I talked to him last year when the season started, Jared, and he's the president of operations over there. And Mark was just saying, we're a big market. We're going to spend. And that was before they did the extension for Vlad. And then we're seeing everything that's transpired over the last year of them being a World Series contender, out away, inning away, play away from winning the World Series to now they're just dumping money to whoever wants it. So, and
they were in on Soto, they were in on Shohei, even though they didn't get there, they were still finalists, if that's any consolation to them.
Yeah, and that's what Mark said. He goes, we're proving to people that we mean business. So I'm excited. Hey, I hope for your sake and for your mental health, Jared, that, Sox figure it out.
Same.
But, I know probably people always know where to find you. Where can they find you if they don't know where to look?
The podcast is Baseball is Dead. Me, Dallas Braden, Justin Havens, former researcher for Baseball Tonight on ESPN. He's the brainiac of the operation, and Section 10 is my Red Sox podcast. Check us out.
And you're on X. I see you pop up on MLB Network now, looking good.
Yeah, doing some MLB Network stuff. Got to chop it up with Matty V and Harold Reynolds yesterday. It's just, I expect it and I appreciate it. Like if something happens with the Red Sox, it's like, man, I know I'm about to get a text message to pop on, and it's like, one of these days we're gonna have something nice to talk about. We're gonna have something good that we can celebrate. That'll be fun.
One day. And you know what? When the Orioles make their signing and the Red Sox will sign somebody, I'll shoot you a little encouragement text. Might not be who you want, but
yeah, I'll take anybody. Give me a live body that can help.
Oh man, hey Jared, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, and I'll catch up with you later on, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Sounds good. Good to see you, Ryan.
Thank you, Jared Carrabis, everybody. I love the passion, and he's a great guy to talk to about baseball in general. But the Red Sox, I mean, the AL East to me is that division, Zach. Like this is the division that everyone's watching. The big market teams. Is that a frozen Kevin Ostreicher? Or is
he's back.
Kevin?
Oh, I got you.
Well, nothing got our audience like the Todd Monken interview. Nothing was better.
Yeah.
You're a good kid, Kev. But I think in agreement, guys, and I've said it before, I would be so shocked if the Orioles don't get Ranger or Framber, one of the two, but I still think it's Ranger. I'm going to stick with that one.
At this point, Ryan, with the packages we've seen, are you out on the trade idea now? Because like for a guy like Gore and what we've seen other guys go for, like
I think if they traded what they did for Boz, it's a similar package for Gore, if not more. And then the other part, if you trade for Peralta, maybe it's a little bit less, but you're trading guys and then having to sign top market. I mean, right now, if Freddie Peralta was on the market, he might get the most money. That's left there. No one's getting the Dylan Cease deal. Like that's over and done with. But I think Freddie could push for 30 mil. I'm really curious what the number is for Framber. And I told you this, Kevin, Zach, Framber, of the two guys, if you're saying Framber or Ranger, Framber's probably the guy that you would say, yep, probably the little bit more upside. But Ranger, to me, knows how to pitch. There's less worry, I guess, if people have it. And he's a big game pitcher in the postseason. That's something that Baltimore would need. And I think these deals are going to be 4 years. Maybe 5 gets it done, but 4 years, I think, is what it's being caught up right now. So, yeah, I think the Orioles are going to hold. And to point this out for everyone, the trade value, and I'm glad Jared brought that up, of them with Duran and trading him. The Orioles, for the longest time, their prospects had higher value. They're not as high as they were for some guys. And also, like a guy like Ryan Mountcastle, I love Mountie. Just from what I'm hearing, it's not a hot market for Mountie. I would buy him, but the Orioles would be selling him low. Does that make sense, Kev? Like, I think it would be selling low on certain guys.
Yeah, like Heston's another one of those guys, and there are a couple of guys that, like, we were talking about them for the last year or two. If you want to go make a move for a guy, these are guys that still. Well, I know Mountie's more of a vet, but like for a guy like Heston, still untapped potential. Maybe you can throw him in a deal. I'm curious. I'd be curious to know what the MLB feels Kobe Mayo is at this point, because I think Kobe has a ton of potential.
So that's the part, is each team has a thought. So in this case, if you're the Nats and you're trying to look towards the future, but you want a kind of a big league impact guy, Kobe would fit that profile. Why? 30 home run upside potential. And you could give some other guys, but I still think the Nats are looking at the next 2 years, 3 years. And they could spend maybe down the road, but they're in a different sense of where they are. The Rays, when we saw, they're like, hey, give us future assets. We're going to wait. We're going to play the long game here because this is what we do with Tampa. We are reshuffling and re-energizing our system. But with all that, Kev, like that's the point is I don't know what the trade value is for Heston. I don't know what the trade value is for other guys that are on the cusp, which last year or 2 years ago would have been a lot higher. And I think the Orioles, that was a big reason why they got Boz, is they knew that his upside was there, and they traded guys with high upside. Slater DeBrun could be an absolute beast, but his value could also be less in a couple of years. It could be more, but it could be less. So I'm fascinated, but that's my gut. Can't wait for the news to break, Kevin, at 2:30 a.m.
Hey, I'll be here holding down the fort. You know that.
You'll be awake, and Lord knows that's usually how it goes
every time.
Also, Nolan Arenado did get traded today.
Yeah,
not like a big topic, but he did get traded today.
I feel like this is one of those if I speak kind of situations. That was such a big nothing burger to me. Like, and I hate, Nolan Arenado is just kind of a shell of his former self. If this was 3 years ago, this is massive news. But going from the Diamondbacks, like they're all in on Alex Bregman to they get Nolan Arenado, where they sent their 8th round pick from this last year, and that's it. And the Cardinals are eating 31 of the 42 million. Like, this was a money dump. And like, that just sucks. Like, I feel like Nolan Arenado, like even like for me, if he would have gone to like a Red Sox or something, just because of the fielding, like it would have been a bigger deal. This feels like when Evan Longoria went to the Diamondbacks. Like, it feels very eerily similar to just kind of like he's going to ride into the sunset there type situation. It didn't, and maybe it's because I just assume the NL West is going to be the Padres and the Dodgers.
I think the D-backs can fight. They'll fight.
They'll fight,
but it's a last.
Yeah.
The D-backs were willing to take it on. Said, hey, we'll take on some. Help us with some money, but we'll take it on. And I think Arenado will have a better year than he had last year. I think he's going to bounce back to an extent. But, yeah, it's not the same juice as in prior years. When he got traded to St. Louis, that was like, that was the eyes getting wide. For this, it seemed like just a lateral move, Zach. Yeah. But the D-backs, crazy thing is they sold the deadline, and hell, the D-backs still almost snuck into the playoffs. Like, they have pieces. They do. Corbin Carroll is a stud.
Yeah. Do we know when the other Corbin's coming back?
Burns. So he got hurt in May, June last year.
Around-ish. Yeah. He didn't pitch many games with him.
Yeah. I mean, I would say late. I'd say summer. If that's if it were anything, next summer. Or we're looking at like late summer. I don't think they're going to rush him back.
He's targeting July.
Yeah. So mid to end summer. Makes sense. Hell of a pitcher, man. Good pitcher. Enjoyed his year in Baltimore. And we enjoy all of you tuning in to the Ryan Ripken Show. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We're live here now Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. So we appreciate you guys very much. We appreciate our channel members. And I see in there, Rick, I actually have the Peaky Blinders of the cap, and I'm sorry I didn't have it. I was rocking my Iron Rooster cap today, I'll be honest, because I just felt like it's a great hat. It says Breakfast of Champions, which I don't know how they got that how he got that, but that's property then of the Iron Rooster, which is electric. But the Peaky Blinders, like, I feel like he's talking about how we saw Bisciotti today talking with Albanez. I think it would have really fit the mold of the day. So I would have looked more tough, Kevin, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also do have the Peaky Blinders hat, so we might have to do a Peaky Blinders, even though I've never seen it.
Wear them.
That's. But
Kevin, you pull off that hat well.
Ryan, what are you reacting to?
Oh, Discord.
Well, I got a couple messages. I got a guest for tomorrow.
Nice.
Good guest. Been really, really all in touch with a lot of the things involving John Harbaugh and all the moves. It's a guy that we were trying to get today, Zach. But he's there. He's in tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, we always got things working here at the Ryan Ripken Show. Kevin, you know what I mean? We're just working.
I do. I don't know what guests are talking about, but I'm excited to find out.
What if the Orioles made a move today?
Is that what you were reacting to?
No, I didn't.
I'm asking. I'm not saying. I'm just asking.
I didn't say that.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Don't put words in my mouth, Kevin.
I'm not. I am not.
Don't put words in the mouth of Bobblehead Jr.
Should I set an alarm to make sure I'm up at like
No.
late? All right.
I can just call you.
That's still Corbin Burns signing. It's 3 a.m. I'm in bed. I see Rocco DeSangrove sends a message in the group. I'm like,
Also,
oh,
that
Corbin.
talk about a night creature. He's gotten better, but Rocco is a night creature.
Yes. I just remember, and I looked over. I was like, Corbin Burns to the Diamondbacks, and I like turned over and I was like, Corbin Burns to the Diamondbacks, and then Kevin's like, yeah, are we going live for this? And I was like, we are not going live for this, Kevin. It is 3 a.m. We are going to bed. And he's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna hop on live and I'll do something real fast. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was laying in bed and I was like, I got to do this. I
Grind never stops.
Walked right in.
Never.
Yeah, it's never an easy time.
Yeah.
They also always find a way for both Kevin and I usually to be somewhere else.
It's
Not
so
by our
annoying.
computer.
It is so.
There was one time like I was at the zoo and Kevin was out to dinner and they were like, yeah, we signed Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez. And I was like,
I was in a different city. I was like,
yeah, like it was both of us were like, I don't know what to. We like text each other like, I guess we're maybe later tonight. I was like, not gonna be in the moment, but it's where we're going.
Yeah. Dude, there's so many players that are still out there in free agency right now. There's so many. The NFL postseason's going on. Head coach searches are ongoing. There's another opening now in the NFL because if you are just tuning in, Mike Tomlin stepped down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which he's not been fired. He still has the rights owned by the Steelers. Take that for what you will. I think he goes to TV this year or takes a year off, but you never know. And then, yes, things are cooking with what the Ravens are going to do. Things are cooking with what John Harbaugh could do. Oh, and by the way, Greg Roman got fired out there in L.A., which will be the first time that Jim Harbaugh will have a new offensive coordinator while he has been in the NFL. I didn't know that. When he was at San Francisco, it was Greg Roman. Then it was with the Chargers. It was Greg Roman. So now Jim Harbaugh is going to have it the first time a new offensive coordinator outside of Greg Roman. It's a wild time here, Kevin.
crazy.
Also, little housekeeping real quickly. Housekeeping. We Wednesdays, or sorry, each day we're having a theme. Kevin, Let Me Put My Poems in You is coming back on Fridays, I believe.
Okay.
So whether you're on or not, someone's getting the poems.
Someone's getting the poems in them. All right.
Yeah, someone's getting the poems in. Zach, Wednesdays, and you'll probably love this. You remember when we were looking at our wild stories? So we can call it Wild or Wacky Wednesday. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. But
We'll figure it out. We'll brainstorm. We'll get a name. Wild or Wack.
we'll have
Maybe
names.
wild.
We can have people maybe vote on this. But that will be the wildest stories that we see on the internet from that day. So one of them that jumps to my mind, Kevin, is when you got arrested in a Chuck E. Cheese outfit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What?
That was nuts. Oh, you don't remember? Like, so there was, you were, sorry, Kevin. It wasn't you, but it was a guy in a Chuck E. Cheese costume that was arrested, and he's being taken off in handcuffs. That is a story that that fits the Wild Wednesday. Thursdays are movie reviews. Fridays, Let Me Put My Poems in You. Mondays, overreactions, and Tuesday is grinding your gears. And then we'll add in a couple sprinkles of things. We're figuring out the call-in days and figuring out when Kyle and the Iron Rooster, we're going to be cooking it up in here.
Can I give one? Is Grind My Gears only sports, or can we do anything?
Oh, anything, dude. Mine today, Kevin, was when you take your garbage out to get collected and it doesn't get collected. And then it's a pile up. And then you got hypothetically just this name's thrown out there. It's like Jamie, hypothetically, don't know where I came up with that. It's like, hey, get this out of the house. I'm like, where the hell am I putting this? Want me to leave it on the street? You want me to litter? Where do I put it, Kevin? Why isn't the trash picked up? Sorry, go ahead. What's yours?
Mine is honestly, and people are split on this, I feel like, but for me, putting the dishes in the dishwasher without giving them a rinse first.
So like how
I mean like all like everything off. Everything off.
You want everything off before
everything off.
No, I agree with that.
Okay, but what if there's like a little speck? I think it's got to be 90%.
I mean, okay, I'm not going to complain over a little speck, but like, you know, I have heard people who have told me, I don't even know how we got on the topic of the conversation, if I'm being honest with you, but people have told me, oh no, I just, you know, straight from, you know, after eating food, I just put that thing straight in there.
No.
And I'm like, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it.
No, you have to, it's got to be like, I agree, Kevin. It has to be majority washed. Like,
yeah, if family events or
like,
you know,
it's
friends events, I've seen it happen. And I'm like, no, we're gonna. I'll do it for you, but this is not gonna go in a dishwasher.
The biggest thing for me is like the sauces. Like, what can't be had. Like, we can't have like if you have some sort of like barbecue ketchup, something, and like or like if you were eating like a pasta and you have like, you know, a sauce, when you just put it in, no. You gotta
exactly. And literally, like, it can just it's fresh. Like, you know, if there's sauce on there, sauce washes right off.
Thank you, Kevin. You gotta take care of it.
I agree. You know, the one thing is if you let something cake on the dish,
yes,
and then you're like, yo, the dishwasher's gonna take care of it. No. Wipe that off a little bit, please.
And that's the other thing is usually you're not just taking all the dishes, putting them in the dishwasher, and then doing it right there. So like if you're taking a bunch of dishes over time and you're just kind of leaving stuff, it's gonna like harden on that.
I think 90% clean, I think, is like the threshold. Just like and not that you're cleaning it off. You could just use water, but just scrub that puppy down so it looks presentable going in there, right? I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah, let's, you know, dishwashers are people too, all right? They have emotions. They want the dishes in there so that when you hit that start button on a dishwasher, they have a presentable dishes in there, not crazy dishes. All right. Dishwashers, they have feelings.
Where do we stand on, and we'll get out of here, but where do we stand on dishwasher protocol when the dishes are done and you need to take them and put them away? Is it the next morning? Do you leave stuff in the dishes? Like, do you have to empty your dishwasher the next morning? Or do you put your dishes in the sink, leave it there for the day, and then later on, you're taking things out of the dishwasher? You following what I'm saying? Some people are like, I'm just going to put it in the sink. What's your sink etiquette?
Well, so I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, yeah, sink's always clean.
I know. Hand up, hand to God. That's not the case here.
Yeah, but I think, especially with dishwasher, I feel like that's why you clean stuff as you go, or like you rinse it off with water, and then it's like you put everything once it's full, dishwasher, do that. And then honestly, maybe this is unpopular opinion, mine is just more the next time, like I kind of think of it. Like it's probably the next day, like I'm going down, like, yeah, time to put this stuff away. I'm not usually someone who like dishwasher starts and I'm like, up in an hour when it's done, I gotta go down there and take care of it. Like they will sit in the dishwasher.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, you know, if the dishwasher's clean and then like I eat something or there's a dish or a couple dishes I gotta put away in the dishwasher, I'm like, well, I gotta take the dishes out first. So I mean, I'd say like before I go to bed, you know, whatever that cycle is, whenever it's done, I have it done, and then I'm able to put dishes in, whether it's the next morning or afternoon or whatever. But yeah, like before I go to bed is for me. But I mean, I'm not as like up in arms about that.
You go to bed at 6:30 in the morning, so you're doing it in the morning.
Well, yes, it's first thing in the morning. Like I got to put it in there in the morning, then I do it before I go to bed.
Hey, yeah, always. I think it's consensus when you go into bed, dishwashers being run, and that everyone's all in agreement with that. right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think so.
Cool. Well, guys, I think we got everything. Before we get out of the stream, one more time, let's check out AutoStream right there. Damn, look at that handsome fellow. But AutoStream Car Care Center partnered with us in 2026. We appreciate them. You can get $50 off when you mention Ryan Ripken or the Ryan Ripken Show. You can't combine the offers that they have, but if you are having car issues, look, they are great service. They're great people. There's some video coming out on social media here of your boy going behind the scenes and, maybe trying to help out a car. Well, maybe not me helping out a car. They're trained to do it. I'm just there for a good time. But let them help you out. $50 off. They got 10 locations throughout Maryland. We appreciate AutoStream Car Care Center. Say that 10 times fast here, Zach.
AutoStream Car Care Center, AutoStream Car Care Center, AutoStream Car Care Center, AutoStream Car Care Center. Ooh, AutoStream Car Care Center, 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 AutoStream Car Care Center.
Okay, not bad.
Nice.
Not bad. Appreciate them. Now back to the stream. Boom. So to close this out, we will be back tomorrow from 3 to 5. We do have one guest that we will have at least at the moment. And when we get it confirmed for the time, I will release who one of our guests is tomorrow to the channel members. We appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, please, on the way out, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. It's been a fun ride here, and we have some more partnerships that we're going to discuss here as we get closer. But we're 3 weeks away from hitting February. Then it's spring training. Then baseball's back, and we are going to be humming and rolling here at the Ryan Ripken Show and Ryan Ripken Media. So, anything else, Zach?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Cue it, Pepe Le Pew. We just got to figure out a movie for Thursday. That's it. As always, here at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, and come join us tomorrow because we have a brand new episode here of the Ryan Ripken Show right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook.